Hey guys, what's up and welcome back to this YouTube channel. It's your guy Igor here. Canada is going for election.
Governor General dissolve Parliament and call an election for April 28th. And she has agreed. We are facing the most significant crisis of our lifetimes because of President Trump's unjustified trade actions and his threats to our sovereignty. Our response must be to build a strong economy and a more secure Canada. President Trump claims that Canada isn't a real country. He wants to break us so America can own us. We will not let that happen. We're over the shock of the betrayal, but we should never forget the lessons. We have to look out for ourselves. We have to look out for each other. But what's important is that the government has a mandate from the Canadian people to finish the job, of building that Canadian economy, to finish the job of diversifying our trading partners, and to have a strong mandate to stand up to Donald Trump and the Americans and negotiate the best deal for Canadians. And that's what
Now that you have watched the video of Mark Carney talking about elections, I want to tell you there is insane tension going on between Canada and the United States, and actually the entire election. The Trump card, the Trump tariffs are actually boosting ratings of liberals like crazy. And Danielle Smith is under fire right now. I don't know if you watched the news. They're literally going up after her saying that she is interfering into federal elections here in Canada. I want to show you a clip so you have a better understanding of what I'm talking about right now.
I think it is shameful. If you break down what Danielle Smith is proposing, she's talking about taking steps to harm the liberals and to prevent tariffs in a political manner to create a political outcome. She should be talking about stopping tariffs to protect Canadians, to just stop them entirely. She shouldn't be saying to do it in a way that benefits one party or another. If you're loyal to this country, if you care about Canadians, you would say, stop the tariffs. Don't hurt Canadian workers. Don't hurt Canadian families. Don't hurt Quebecers. And so to me, it's very shameful what she's doing. She's literally playing games with people's lives. Like, this is not a game. The tariffs aren't a game to win or lose elections. It's about people losing their jobs. Here in Montreal, we already know people have lost their jobs just by the threats of the tariffs. And we know more people are going to lose their jobs when these tariffs start to really take hold. And so this is not a game. This is serious. We got to defend our country and we got to stand together. We can't afford to have people going off and trying to cut deals that hurt political parties.
Now, guys, I want to ask you, what do you think? Is she interfering with federal elections or not? Now, it's actually quite interesting that initially the Conservatives were leading and we were focusing on the, Canada has went from plundered down, from basically where we were in the level of happiness. So I think rating number 5 in the world to like number 14 or 18 something right now. So we are not even in top 10 countries according to the happiness. Our GDP growth, $500 billion of our money went to US now of our economy through the leadership of Justin Trudeau. And honestly, he was losing by like 14 points. Here's a snapshot of the current ratings so you have an idea of what we're looking at right now. And you can see that Conservatives are literally leading by 1%, which is phenomenal, guys. Actually, Liberals have a quite good chance of winning the elections again. And now I figure out, if you look at the Jagmeet Singh, where he was talking about basically Danielle Smith, and he's saying that she's interfering in federal elections. He mentioned Quebec so many times, which is kind of phenomenal, especially for me here in Alberta, in Calgary, guys. I want to tell you that it's actually interesting, to slam somebody who is supporting her province and supporting them going for Quebec and Ontario. I do understand that Ontario and Quebec has more votes, so you would want to support those people to stay in power. But, honestly, from what I know, Alberta is funding a lot of that region from the budget and oil production that we have here. And in 2014 they had some really good things going on until the oil crashed. A lot of people filed bankrupt. People sold their sold their things, they went bankrupt, they couldn't pay their bills. A lot of people moved to Ontario because of the oil crisis crash. It happens all the time in Alberta. People come here for oil jobs and it crashes, then they go back there. And honestly, for example, the federal government has not been too nice to oil manufacturing, putting the carbon tax, putting the restrictions on pollution and extraction, not allowing to build a pipeline, not allowing to sell, to actually be dependent on the United States, to actually put Canada in the position that we are in right now, and honestly destroying the Canadian economy. But now we have a complete shift of narrative where we are standing for national unity. We forgot how bad we are doing, and now we just have to survive as a country. So that's a new election campaign I see that even NDP is trying to use right now by, I think, in my opinion, unfairly slamming Daniela Smith. Guys, why I'm thinking that? Let's try to tell me your opinion, because my opinion is well, it's just my opinion. I want to hear your opinion. Comments down below what you think. But here's what I think. What she said essentially, maybe not to the right media outlet, and media can twist this stuff, but what she said is not to put tariffs until basically we have leadership in Canada. I mean, it doesn't make sense for us to have tariffs until we have government that can deal with them, until we have the government, somebody who is running the country. I think whatever she is saying is kind of fair and actually protecting the Canadians. If you were to come to me and say, hey, well, put the tariffs right now and make it unbearable so we can win the elections, I think that would be a really cruel way to punish Canadians just to win the election. And it feels to me almost like Liberals and NDP are kind of trying to portray that at any cost to stay in power, even if it means demolishing the Canadian economy, under the national unity, so that everyone can forget what actually was happening in the past 10 years with the previous so many administrations. What did we have? Justin Trudeau, 2 times then, halfway term, he became again, and now Mark Carney, for a week, for a day or two, he was a prime minister, and now he's gone for entire freaking drama going on here, guys. The entire roller coaster of, of power-hungry politicians trying to stay in power in expenses of basically Canadians. And it's also interesting that nobody goes after Saskatchewan, Manitoba, New Brunswick, or any other provinces. They're like, oh, it's Alberta, it's Alberta, it's Alberta. You know why? Because in Quebec and in Ontario, where auto manufacturing people are losing jobs, even with the threats of those tariffs, right? And they have more elections there, so they matter more than people here in Alberta, which is actually why probably Premier of Alberta is standing up for Albertans, and people don't really like it. But it's just my opinion. I want to see what you think about it. But it's pretty crazy, guys, that I would never expect that, people would try to even divide Canada just to stay in power, to create this kind of fighting where they're talking about Alberta. And how disrespectful does it sound when you're judgmenting, when you mention Quebec 2 gazillion times in your presentation, while you're talking about Alberta, with Alberta sending a huge chunk of money specifically there to support that part of Canada. It's it's like this province has to be sacrificing more than anybody else for the benefit of other provinces where they have more electoral votes. Essentially, that's how it sounds to me, and it's kind of cruel if you think about it to even say something like that. But it's also interesting to see that they are trying to go after Daniela Smith and Alberta to somehow find a certain leverage for Alberta to give up its oil, to punish the United States, to sacrifice jobs in Alberta, to sacrifice the livelihood of Canadians in favor of the other provinces over there that before this entire tariff threat didn't really give a damn about Alberta whatsoever, didn't plan to build any gas lines, didn't plan to remove the carbon tax, didn't plan to help the manufacturing and the livelihood of this province. We were kind of on the outskirts. All of a sudden, when the oil is needed and the leverage is needed, oh yeah, Alberta is quite bad, and let them suffer here so we can have what we want over there in order for us to preserve the popularity amongst our biggest chunk of voters. To be honest with you, is Quebec and Ontario. That's how you win the government, right? Not by winning the popularity in Alberta. Who gives a damn? Not enough people. People in Alberta don't make a choice. We don't have enough population here compared to those provinces. So that's kind of my private, tiny little view, my humble opinion. I might be wrong about it, but I would want to see what you have to say about it. And it's fascinating. Can you imagine Liberals can actually win this election once again? What do you think? Is it going to be good for Canada or not? Is McCartney different from Justin Trudeau, even though he was his advisor for so many years? Do you think he is different, or are they just copying the policies of basically conservatives, right? Almost said Republicans, conservatives, right? So, and also, You know, I think they kind of twisted the narrative of conservatives because, like I almost said, Republicans saying that, hey, look, conservatives are essentially like Trump, right? And Trump is against Canada, so they might be buddies. So let's vote against them, right? So I think that one of the Trump card that they're using for. Actually, guys, if you think about it, Americans are actually interfering to Canadian elections because without those tariffs, without Trump, conservatives would win. But now, with all these things going on, liberals have a chance. It makes you wonder, who do you think Trump wants to win more? Does he want conservatives to win? Or actually, does he want liberals to win? And I'll leave you at that. Thank you for watching and bye for now and all the best. Glory to Canada, guys.